A Mighty Wind, The Annals of History, by Lord Blackwater. Chapter 13, Fortified by Fiber, the poop slides into hell. Barnaby, Trinity, Nowra, and Keldorf all looked at the hole in the tree, then at one another. The hole appeared to open into a wide shaft, tee-hee-hee, that led straight downward. Trinity looked most excited at the prospect of going down. Barnaby picked her up and held her in his arms. She gave him a hug and looked him in the eyes. Though nothing was said, Barnaby felt as if Trinity was telling him it was all right. She loved him no matter what he'd done to open the gates of hell.
Well, none of us has ever been too shy about going fist deep into a hole,
Barnaby said to the group.
Speak for yourself, Barnaby,
Keldorf protested. Ignoring the comment, Barnaby jumped down and was soon followed by his other companions. They slid down the steep tunnel like how a turd, fortified by fruits and fiber, would slide down the lower intestine. It reminded Barnaby of Phelan. He never needed lube for someone to get this deep. They seemed to slide for hours, but eventually they all squirted out, one by one, onto a small ledge overlooking the circles of hell. Hell appeared to be a large, cavernous area sectioned off into 9 circles. Along the floor of hell, cracks in the earth gave way to flames and magma, which reflected a red color all around the cave. Barnaby noticed a group of demons torturing 3 humans by having them hold their dicks over the cracks. Every time an eruption came, their dicks would be met with burning magma.
"E-O!"
Barnaby heard one of them cry out in pain.
"You've Charmandered my testes!"
Stalactites hung from the ceilings of the cave. Some were long enough that they almost touched the floor of hell. If you looked closely, you could see bodies impaled through their asses on several of the stalactites. Barnaby couldn't help but wonder what these individuals had done in their previous life to deserve burned wieners and stalactites up their butts. Every part of this cave seemed to be used for torture. It was what Barnaby expected hell to look like, but the smell of burning wiener flesh was enough to give him an upset stomach. It felt as if he'd opened a can of tuna, but instead of draining the tuna juice and eating the meat, he'd instead removed the meat and drank the tuna juice. He felt like he was going to paste a squirrel, but luckily he was able to hold it down. Off in the distance, you could see the 9th circle, in the middle of which stood a giant black castle. A tall turret sat in the middle of the castle's grounds and rose up hundreds of feet above the next tallest turret. It overlooked all of hell like the eye of Sauron. Staircases spiraled up and down this main turret and made it look like a big, veiny wiener, LOL. Barnaby noted where the 7th circle lay, and the 4 began their journey toward Dell. Typically, one would think there'd be many events of note as a group travels through the circles of hell, at least ones that would deserve a few pages of writing. But not in this case. The companions defeated a group of gimpy succubus in a dick-eating contest, bargained with a pair of demons with flame-shooting nipples over the price of a ferry ride over the river of fire, and outwitted a pair of translucent sperm demons who had been improperly expelled by a prepubescent Catholic teen. Overall, it was an uneventful journey through 6 circles of hell. When they came to the 7th circle's entrance, they came out into a large opening. It smelled of leather and anal play. Barnaby looked to his left and noticed a small encampment. In it, several figures of various shapes and sizes seemed to be moving around. The group began walking over. As they approached, it was easier to identify who the figures were, but less clear as to what exactly was going on. Here was what they saw. A tall, human man with long hair and a rough beard stood in a tight black leather jumpsuit that covered everything but his nips, ween, and ass. His hair went down below his knees, and his beard could have nested a family of birds. His body had clearly seen better days, and his ears were almost as hairy as his ass. The man whipped what appeared to be a pair of hog-human hybrids. They stood on two hooves, with their heads and front hooves contained by a wooden pillory. Each whip was met with snorting, squealing, and spurts of snot coming from the hybrid snouts. The man also held what looked to be a folded pizza between his butt cheeks. Small, devilish creatures jumped up and took chunks out of the pizza with their mouths. They nibbled in delight for a moment or two before jumping up and returning for another bite. Occasionally they'd miss the pizza entirely and would leave a small welt in the man's butt. The man appeared so passionate about his whipping that he seemed to give no attention to these ravenous creatures, even when they took a chunk of his butt. Barnaby approached first.
"Dell?"
he asked tentatively.
If it's a Tuesday, then that is my name, my low-hanging friends.
Dell responded enthusiastically.
Care for a whip or a slice? I'll pass,
Keldorf said, throwing up a little in his mouth. He noticed that some of Dell's ass hairs were getting mixed in with the pizza. The small creatures didn't seem to mind.
Thank you, though,
interrupted Barnaby.
We came here because you once taught Fortballs the way of the queef. We were hoping you could help me tame my mighty queef so that I might defeat the dragon Shortner.
Dell paused with his whipping and looked Barnaby up and down.
So you possess the mighty queef. My Rishimi ancestors had spoken of such a power.
So you are of Rishimi descent?
Nora asked in almost disbelief.
But of course. How else would I grow ass hair like this? The Rishimi are known for their thick and furry ass forests.
Barnaby reached around and felt his ass cheeks. He had never thought much of it, but he did indeed have a carpet back there.
Ha 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 ha!
Screamed Dell suddenly.
No matter, you fools, for not even the mighty queef can take down a creature such as Shartner. At least not on your plane of existence. But there must be a way,
demanded Keldorf.
Ooh, ha ha! There is a way,
Dell replied.
But it means the three of you must work together. The queef is mighty indeed, but it cannot act alone and face victory in this fight. Show us then, Dell,
pleaded Barnaby.
All right then.
Dell put down his whip and removed what was left of the pizza from his ass, much to the dismay of the others in his party. Dell walked Barnaby, Nara, Keldorf, and Trinity over to a nearby campfire. It was still burning. He told Barnaby, Nara, and Keldorf to sit around the fire, facing one another. He let Trinity climb up on his back.
Transcendental meditation,
Dell announced.
That is how you will unlock what you seek.
But since the three of them were shitbags and were inexperienced at meditation, Dell gave them all a bit of his yum-yum mushrooms. He instructed them to close their eyes and breathe in deeply, inhaling the smell of the wood and smoke. All three did as they were told. As the three drifted off, they could hear Dell announcing,
"We will see you in a few hours. Then you will have your answers. Now, Trinity, what do you say about a slice of pizza?"
"Yes, please,"
she answered with no trepidation whatsoever. Before Barnaby or Nara could protest, they were out and gone.